You've heard us talk incessantly about how important it is to fly your geek flag high to help you stand out. Which sounds great in theory, but how do you find your geek flag, and once you have it, how do you use it? In this week's Hot Seat Mega episode, you'll get to revisit 3 hot seats that will help you do just that. In the first hot seat, you'll learn the process to finding what your geek flag might be. Then in the second hot seat, Jonathan helps David better leverage his geek flag and use his podcast to turn leads into clients. Then in the final hot seat, Jonathan helps Rhonda troubleshoot her niche and how she's using her geek flag to better appeal to the people she wants to work with. I'll be back at the end to recommend another episode. Enjoy.
Cool. So Corey, for those of you who don't know, basically what we do here is we'll start getting you just to say real quick who you are, who you serve, and then what you want to talk about today. And you've already filled out the forum, so I have that, but just for everybody else, they have a little bit of context. And then, as you'll see, sometimes we talk about that. Sometimes we try to get into a bit deeper, what's kind of going on. So, Corey, yeah, man, why don't you start us off? Talk about kind of who you are, what we're talking about today, and who you serve.
All right, guys. So my name's Corey. I live in Illinois. I'm a full-time trainer right now at a YMCA. I went to Eastern Illinois University for my undergrad and then grad school. And I was originally like on the clinical side of things. And I started to train clients while I was in school and realized how much I loved it. Like I was coming into work and I was like, oh my gosh, this doesn't feel like a job. Like you build these relationships with people, you get to wear gym clothes. And I listened to all my friends complain about work and I was like, I love what I do. Like this is awesome. But over time, I started to get very tired because that getting up at 4 and then getting home at like 8. And I started to miss things. Like I turned 30 just this year and I don't see myself ever leaving the profession because of how happy I am, but I'm missing I don't have a family, but I couldn't imagine raising one right now because of my schedule. It's conflicted with dating, just going to see my family, just that kind of stuff. I notice myself getting irritable or missing when friends want to go out and maybe grab a drink or go watch a sporting event, I'm missing the game.
Yeah.
And just stuff like that. And so I came across your books a couple of years ago. It was Ignite the Fire was the first one I read. And as I was reading, I was like, okay, this guy, it sounded like you were almost talking to me. I was like, this guy gets it and he understands. And I fell in love with that book. And as I kept reading, and then I saw your online academy and everything, I did that. And I've enrolled in several courses and spent thousands. And I took more from your online academy than I did from any of that.
Cool.
And so
Well,
when you sent
Happy
the
to hear that,
mentorship, yeah, you guys do great work. And when I saw the mentorship, I was like, I got to do this because for me, I want to continue to help people. I want to continue to stay in the industry, but I also don't want it to affect my life to eventually have a family one day or just my general well-being, I guess.
The trainer story. I remember when I was trying to date people. I remember when I was trying to go on dates with girls and stuff like that. And it was just like, basically, unless you work in the restaurant industry, this ain't gonna work. Because I could see you from 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. Like that's the time we got. So what are we talking about here then? What do you want to dive into?
So
in the 10,
for me, the biggest thing for me has been with in person. I think it's so much easier because you're on the floor and you get to just have this genuine connection.
Yeah.
And I still have trouble with for me, I still have trouble trying to genuinely connect with people on a social platform. I've never been big on messaging. I'm bad at just texting my friends. So it's really hard for me to come off and not feel salesy or I guess bugging people with the whole pitching my services to be valuable to them.
I love reading fiction. I think in almost every case, you learn more from fiction than you do from nonfiction books. And Stephen King, one of the great fiction writers, had a book called On Writing, which basically talks about how to write, and it's how to write fiction and stuff like that, but there's a lot of carryover. One of the things that I took from it is how you actually build trust with others by being true to yourself. And by using the words and the language that first come naturally to you, because they're almost always going to be the better words. But we have a tendency to second guess that, because usually the words that we come up with ourselves don't feel like what we're supposed to say. For example, in the book that I'm writing right now, there's a line in it that it's something like, real life is not an adventure. Oh, real life is a theme park, not an adventure. And it's run by some coney drinking warm chocolate milk in the sun. And like, that's a line where the minute that I thought about it, I was like, oh, that's fucking funny. Right. But then I second guessed myself, because I was like, oh, well, I mean, what are people going to think about this? Is coney, like, I started to start to Google whether the word coney was culturally appropriate or not. And then I stopped myself, because I'm like, nah, this is damn funny. And the first two beta readers of that chapter, both of them highlighted that line. And one of them even went so far as to say, if your editor wants to take this out, call me. I'm going to drive to their house and punch them in the face. It's just like, it's, and so I tell you this because a lot of the time, people think that professionalism is saying the right things that are like culturally appropriate. I think actually the way to be professional is to not worry about saying the right things. Whatever you feel like saying, Adam does a great job with this. If you follow his social media, he's on this call, and he does you can put up your hand. Yeah. Adam does a great job with this, right? It's him. Like, it's him. And if you like him, you'll hang out there. And if you don't like him, you won't. And that's, both are fine.
I think what you just said is part of my issue, because like in person, we don't have that time to think what we're going to say. So I'm just myself, and people say they love that. And online, I'm sitting there and I'm so worried. I'm like, well, if I put this up, is this going to offend someone? Or is this geared to this? And I think
you will.
I'm not myself.
You will.
I worry about it.
Well, I have been called a racist. I was called one time, I kid you not, I was called a communist pig who hates America one time.
Oh my God.
I think it was an article on like the metabolism or something.
Yeah,
just like complete nonsense. I mean, no matter what you do, there's going to be somebody, and you don't like, there's nothing against them. It's just whatever's going on in their world, their own bias, their own experiences, right? They're taking, that was me. Thanks, Jade. Whatever's going on in their world, right? They're putting your information through their filter. You can't affect that. There are an almost infinite amount of filters that other people are going to put their information through. You have no idea what these things are. You have no idea what pain, what hurt, what background, how other people have treated them. You just don't know. And I think you could try to be a good person, 100%. But that line from Stephen King, I should try to find it so I know it exactly. But that line from Stephen King has always stuck with me, and I remind myself that anytime I write something or I'm messaging somebody and I'm speaking like myself, I'm saying the first thing that comes to mind. You listen to our podcast, you hear it all the time. Like, there's give or take 4 penis jokes per episode. Why? Because penis jokes are funny. Like, I don't care who you are. Like, they're funny.
Yeah.
And that's just who I am. And so if you want a business podcast that doesn't have penis jokes, like, go listen to the NASM podcast or some shit, right? Like, have fun with that. It's boring as all hell, but like, it's right for some people. And that's, but again, it's always going back to that line. The minute that you think of something and you start to think about all of the reasons why you shouldn't say it or shouldn't talk that way, you're like, nah, is this how I speak? Then it's probably the right way to do it. The only other piece that I'll say is, because one of the things that you highlighted here is just like, just the kind of the confidence in like the content and stuff like that as well. I try to think about 1 or 2 things about me. They don't need to be the most important things about me, but that are weird or different, or call it divisive, but like divisive about things that nobody really cares about. So, I was talking about how pineapple on pizza is disgusting. Like, do I really care about that? Like, obviously not. Enjoy your pizza. Like, I don't care. Like, I don't like pineapple on pizza. I think it's disgusting, and I'm embarrassed that Canadians invented it. But like, do I actually care that much? No. But it's just like this funny rally cry kind of inside joke. And so I ask you about stuff like that. Are there, doesn't have to be food related, but are there things like that with you? Where, I mean, you tell me you're wearing an LSU sweater. There's
Yeah, it was a good
probably a
night
lot
last
of,
night.
I don't know what happened. I don't follow.
We won the College World Series last night.
Okay, baseball.
Yeah, so I get excited when LSU wins anything. So it was a good night for me.
I'm a big baseball fan, but I mean, I'm Canadian, so college baseball doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but like, I don't know, who does LSU have a rivalry against? Like, add that into your thing, because then LSU, like,
Okay.
nobody, I mean, I guess college people really do care about that kind of stuff some of the time, but LSU people, or people who have a relationship to LSU, immediately now have a reason to listen to you talk about fat loss or muscle gain or workouts, because you put a little joke about LSU in there. They have a reason to pay attention to that. And if it's funny, like, comment on it or tag it or whatever, tag somebody else in. And then people who, I don't know, who's like LSU's rival.
Football would be Bama.
So then, like, an Alabama person comes in there and he goes, "Hey, screw you, I'm from Alabama, LSU sucks." And you're like, "You suck." And they're like, "No, you suck." And then you're like friends because you're like telling the other person that they suck about things that, I mean, were like, dude's probably an accountant who's been out of school for 20 years. Like, you know, it's a ridiculous conversation you're having. But that's part of connecting. I don't know. I mean, does this help? Is this kind of what you hope to chat about here?
Yeah, it does. It does a lot, just because it makes me realize that I just need to not overthink it. I'm just overthinking things and not actually being myself, because like that LSU banter, and here I connect with most of the people off sports. Every time I walk into, me and whoever guys are in there in the morning, we goof off, make fun of each other's sports teams. But then online, I don't do that.
Yeah. Oh God. You can like put up a meme about fitness and it just happens to have like an Alabama guy getting kicked in the groin or something like that. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
So the process that I usually, like, I don't do it anymore now because I've done this so many times, but I love kind of mind mapping type processes where I'll just put like in the middle, it's like Corey's weird quirks, you know, and just like put that in the middle of a page. And then you just draw lines off of it. And you're like, I put mayonnaise in my coffee. I like LSU. Whatever, all of the weird, and it's kind of hard to think about these things, but then as you're doing stuff, you're like, oh, that's kind of weird, like that I like that and other people don't seem to. Just write that down on the page. And then you can start doing one more line about people who kind of oppose it, right? So LSU, it's like Alabama. And all of a sudden now you can easily wing out 3 or 4 things, because at the end of the day, we're all saying the same thing, aren't we? I mean, it's not that much new or unique or different. That's important. But it's your own flair that helps it stand out. And then even in conversations, how much easier is it when you're having like a DM conversation with somebody to shoot the shit about how LSU just won the baseball championships? And I saw this really funny meme where they were up like 10-2 last night, and it was this guy trying to hit on this girl in the stands, like at the end of the last inning. And it's like, when your team wins the championship, but you strike out. And you could just like send that to him, and just how funny that is. It just makes it way easier to have those conversations.
Yeah.
And start those conversations, because at the end of the day, the key to any small talk is identifying some sort of uncommon commonality that you share with the other person. So this is how I, as an introvert, navigate social situations. all that I try to do when I meet somebody new is I run through a few questions of like whether they like sports, what kind of movies they like, where they're from. I'm basically just trying to figure out one thing that I can talk to them about that we have in common, that we can like geek out on. That's a first date. Greg, you're on the hot seat, man. As always, if you could just real quick give us a bit of an overview of who you are, what you do, who you serve, and then what we're talking about today.
Great. Yeah. Greg Finch. I help surfers stay strong in the water till their last breath. So my niche is surfers. That's all I work with. And I'm in the Central Coast of California, and I've been in OTM since, I believe it's been October actually, but my path was a little weird. I had this I wanted to commit to it. I knew I couldn't put it off any longer. So I committed to it, but really, to be honest, I've done a single launch, but only now am I really fully able to commit. I had this really huge project on the personal side of my life, and I'm almost past it completely now. So
Cool.
now I can really commit much of what's needed to OTM. And so I've been doing things through that whole time and going through the curriculum, but now I'm really able to really take it to the level it needs to go to get everything out of it I can. So what I'd like to focus on, certainly I'll answer any questions about the business and needs itself. You know a little bit about it because you are actually a huge part of helping me launch my podcast. I did a Ask Me Anything with you probably back in October or thereabouts.
Yeah, it was a while ago. Yeah.
And I launched it right then, and I've been working really consistently on it. And actually it's gotten a lot of, my objective with the podcast is a little unique in that listenership, of course, is important. And I want that to grow to really start to get inbound traffic from it. But my main objective for it is to network amongst the professionals in the surf world itself, to start to really raise that level of networking for an objective down the road of the longer game of being able to go to destinations and really coach their surfers that are high ticket, going to Indo, they're putting deposits down a years in advance of thousands and thousands of dollars.
Right.
So getting access to them and also networking with the professionals themselves to start to be a much more go-to in the coaching space for other people within the surf industry.
Yeah, I love what you're doing with the podcast because it's a great example of building a podcast to build a business versus building a podcast to try to be a famous podcaster.
Yeah, not my objective at all.
Yeah, and I don't think that there's anything wrong with either of them, but it's different games that you play. And if you end up being a famous podcaster, that's cool. But your primary objective is very, very clear, which is awesome. Your market is such an interesting one to me because I know, even though I don't surf, I know the surf world really well because I have lived in so many surf towns around the world. Like I just got back from one that I was in for 4 months in Sayulita. And so I know surfers, and I know for the most part, surfers are broke as a joke. They show up in a surf town, in a town with a good surf break, and they'll do anything that they can do. They'll wait tables, they'll play music on the street, they'll do anything they can, work at coffee shops to be able to make enough money to be able to stay there while surf season's on. But there are also, call them professional surfers who have a lot of money, who go to these high-end surf resorts. And so how are you reaching out to people now? Like, how are you building out this network?
So I had this one experience and connection that was huge from the beginning that really helped me a lot. I went to somebody that I was close friends with, and professionally and personally was doing acupuncture on the World Surf League. So she had this connection, and then she said, "Hey, Dr. Tim Brown, who's the co-medical director for the World Surf League. So in my world, that's it. That's our
Right.
professional surfing.
Right.
She had a relationship with him and say, hey, they're doing this in-person training. I think you'd really benefit from it. So that was in 2018. I did that initial one. And then 2019, they did an even larger one. And so I was able to meet kind of the heavy hitters in my world of everybody that was involved in this in-person event right before COVID hit. And my first 5 guests were all from that connection. So
That's
that really
cool.
helped me initially start that. So that part was huge just to get it going, because some of the names that were on there, like I couldn't have reached out to them just on a cold contact, but they were really gracious and all came on, and that's really helped even spur it more, some validity when I reach out. So
100%.
now,
yeah, once you get, I learned that from hosting events. You really need one anchor guest.
yeah,
You need one anchor speaker. You need one anchor guest, and then you can leverage that to have everybody else show up and say, "Oh my God, I was doing this thing that other guy did." The surf world there's got to be so many people behind the scenes. Like when I lived North Shore Oahu for a season, and like I wrote Vironomics at Turtle Bay Resort.
yeah.
I just basically sat in their lobby. And fun fact, they were filming the Hunger Games there as well. And Jennifer Lawrence, I guess, was there, which is really too bad because I didn't know who she was. But I could have married Jennifer Lawrence because I think if I knew who she was and I said hi, she probably would have wanted to marry me.
Well, that would have been clearly the path.
clearly that was before Allison. But I met a lot of the people. Like I had Thanksgiving dinner outdoors at the VP of marketing of the Surf Association at her house. And these are people who are movers and shakers in this massive industry. And yet it's almost like a small town feel.
It's very tight knit. They're very my experience, and as I just go farther into this too, in the podcast angle of things, is I'm amazed how many people are essentially giving me 90 minutes, 2 hours of their time in a really busy world that they're in. And that's the part on the podcast. And personally, what I've really liked, lifetimes ago, I was in radio, very working towards a professional career in that. And I realized, okay, this is entertainment. This isn't really what I want to do. But I really loved the radio end of things. And being able to have these extended conversations with people feeds me in a way that I'm really surprised at. Like it's so opposite of the other work that we tend to have to do, computer work behind the scenes, all the things we're doing. It's this real connection that feeds me in a way that I love. And
yeah, so you found it. So what's the struggle then? I mean, it sounds like the podcast's going well. Everybody who shows up, you ask them if you could be introduced to 2 people who they think would be great on the podcast, and you start getting guests that way. Is it converting from there?
So that's really where the struggle is. Of course, a lot of the questions I almost know the answers to, which is keep showing up, keep being consistent, keep having that, but leveraging that, those parallels of the network on the professional side growing to really have those connections, and then the incoming community, DMs and other things, how to parallel those at the same time. So I'm getting more incoming and I can focus my attention on the content here. My objective would be have the podcast be very close to the most of the content that I'm creating and repurposing that, and then having the traffic come in. And I'm not really seeing that happen as much as I had hoped it would be, but I think it's still, maybe it just comes down to, again, consistent, and then make sure that I'm converting the things that I am coming in more, and how to make sure that I stay focused on this side. I like this side and I really want to put more time into it, but I can't lose sight of the objective, which is I'm not looking to monetize the podcast really in any, on the short term for sure. I want the monetization to be the coaching, because I love the coaching too. So if I can just get out of the hamster wheel of the content game a little bit more, but I want to make sure I don't lose sight of being effective on this side with the coaching.
Yeah, I think the podcast is definitely a longer term play. It's generally a brand play. that having been said, I mean, you can make very specific calls to action on the podcast. I also think what you can do, what a lot of people are starting to do a lot more now that have interview style podcasts. I can't do it on mine because I don't have an interview style podcast. But when you put out clips and stuff like that, you do collaboration posts on other people's social medias back and forth. And then your social media, you just got to really brand to what you do and why you do it and how good you are at doing it on the coaching side. And you can almost time it as well if you know you have like a bigger name, or even like a name that's more influential, even if it's not big numbers, but you know it's going to be high quality numbers. You do a collaboration post, and then like the day before or whatever, you do a call to action, like you do a spear post on your Instagram, for example, just so that those incoming people are going to see that right away. It makes a big difference. And so, I mean, I don't think that there's much more that you can do. You can test that on your podcast, like appeals for people to DM you on social media. You can test, you can do some sort of a giveaway as well. Mm-hmm. And as part of the giveaway, of course, they enter their email or their phone number if you want to do a text message thing. And then you do a follow-up. On there the same. And the follow-up in an email could be the exact same as the follow-up in like a DM conversation. Hey, here's your guide. This could be automated. Hey, here's your four stretches before you surf. The 4 stretches you must do before you surf. Like super simple like that, right? Here's your guide. I'm curious. You doing any strength training right now? Period. And then they get back to you, and then you start going from there. But I would test on the podcast episodes different appeals. Like that guide, I mean, you could put together a guide with 4 stretches before you surf. Mm-hmm. Probably if I shut up for a minute, you'd be done it.
Yeah. Right? I have some of those really small, like performance checklist, surf ramp before, and they're just real clear and concise. Yeah. And just using those more effectively. I haven't done a lot of direct appeals on the podcast because I was really focusing on the quality of the interview and making sure, and that's probably where I can improve on, like, instead of having a commercial in the middle of the podcast, it's just my call to action.
Yes.
I'm placing it in there. Yeah.
100%. And you can, I don't know what software we use. We use Riverside now. But using the software, you can actually just record it once. So what I'll do on ours is I record a whole bunch of different ones, and then I just keep it in a Dropbox. And Amber's not a podcast editor, right? But this is how easy it is she'll just grab the clip and you literally just drag it in. And then when you export the thing, it exports it with that little ad spot. So I sit down once and I'll record like 3 or 4 of those little ad spots, and we'll just rotate them. And based off of the ones that get responses, we keep using. The ones that don't, we stop. So we got to move on, but I think it's great that you're enjoying this. I think it's awesome how you're using this, prioritizing the networking side of it. I don't know what will work in terms of converting people for your audience, but I think it's worth just trying a couple different things like we spoke about and just seeing what comes back. And then whatever works, just keep doing more of that. Mm-hmm. And all of it can lead to a consultative conversation. Like that's the thing. I mean, if I was doing a coaching business, like what you guys are doing, all that I would do is I would basically do like DM conversations based off of email opt-ins. We're doing that now actually for OTM. We never did it before, but we're doing that now for OTM, where on social media, on Instagram, particularly, but we did it on Twitter and stuff like that as well. People message us if they want a free guide, or if I think a masterclass video, people message us. And when they enter in to get the free guide, they have a phone number. They enter in their phone number. And Kyle, who some of you might have spoken with, sends him a text message. It's just like, hey, what's up? What are you trying to accomplish with the masterclass? I work with John. It's like, there's no reason why you can't do that. If they don't want to talk to you, they're an adult. They don't talk to you. We're not going to like badger them and like keep, It's like, hey, you got a guide. You're clearly trying to accomplish something. Let's chat. Cool. Thank you, Greg. I know you said you gotta pop off because you're prepping for an interview, so that's cool. Appreciate you, man. I think it's cool what you're doing. Rhonda, how you doing? So same questions, Rhonda. If you can quickly talk about who you are and a little bit of what you do, and then what we're talking about today.
Okay, so I'm Rhonda, and I help dog moms ages 35 to 45 lose weight, but I do it in a very unique way that they get to work out alongside their dog.
Cool.
So what I've been struggling with, so when I first started OTM, I did not have just one program. I had quite a few programs. And so now, since joining OTM, I've kind of joined them and brought them together. And one of the things that I'm finding is a lot of the women who join are really joining more for their own weight loss, their nutrition. The dog side is cool, but I'm finding like they're not really into the whole aspect of working out with their dog.
It's the hook. Yeah. It's the hook. It's like fun to do once or twice, but then.
Yeah. So I do have like my ideal client in the program right now. She's amazing. She loves everything that has to do with her dog. But I think
still working out with her dog, like every workout she's doing with the dog. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Like she does have a couple that she does on her own, but he's also in dog sports, her dog. So I have to kind of give him breaks as well, because otherwise we'd overdo his workout as well. But what I think right now is maybe just my reach. I'm not reaching the right people necessarily, because most people who come in, and maybe that's how it'll always be, that they're coming for mainly their own reasons, and then the dog stuff is kind of an added bonus. But
I think the dog stuff is what makes you unique. I think it's an uncommon commonality that you have. I don't know if it's a strong enough hook for somebody to like really. Yeah, for example, I got a friend who he actually sold a lot of DVDs, but he did like basically sex workouts. I don't even know a better way to describe it, but it was like super sexual romantic workouts to do with your partner. And it was like two really attractive, sweaty Black people who were like 98% naked doing like leg lifts while one was staring up at the other one standing over, right? Like you know what I'm talking about, right? Which is great to sell a DVD, because it's the kind of thing where you're like, hey honey, you know what I'm saying? But like ain't nobody gonna do that for a long time. It's kind of a fun. So selling DVDs is great because somebody's going to buy one DVD with it. And I think with you, maybe that like I almost feel like with you, that could be a great like one-time sale program, because, and even as like a DVD or something, because that's a hell of a great like Christmas gift and birthday gift for somebody to give to somebody else. But for ongoing training, I don't know, maybe I'm just not a dog lover. Like I'm not like, I don't like dislike dogs, but I wouldn't.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, how do you account for different sizes of dogs? Some dogs are big, some dogs are small. You know, like bench press your dog? I'm assuming that's what it is.
Oh, no, it's not at all. No. So I'm a canine.
It's like lying down.
So no, the dogs do, like, basically you would do your sets, and then while you're on your rest, you work with your dog does exercises. So I'm actually like a certified canine fitness trainer. So I actually know all of it's similar programming to becoming a personal trainer, but for dogs.
Cool.
Yeah. So it's definitely, for instance, like somebody teaches their dog how to sit. They may actually not teach them how to sit correctly and could cause imbalances in their dog, which increases their injury risk, all of those things. Or people have no idea that you're not supposed to run your dog full tilt for 3 hours.
Right.
Because they'll do it, but we're putting them at risk for injury. So it's actually a very, it's not bench pressing your dog. But
it's not bench pressing your dog. I'm just going to still assume that somebody's bench pressing their like massive hound. I do, going back to our conversation though. Bob's just doing it. No, Bob, you don't use weights, so clearly you're not you're not gonna be doing it. I think I do think that it's great for like a DVD or like a one-time purchase. That's like a good gift. But yeah, ongoing training. I think the angle is a great angle to meet somebody at where they're at with their passions, for sure. And I also think that there's probably some opportunity to produce workouts in dog lovers communities, and magazines, and all that fun stuff. I don't know. Does that stuff exist? You get like a dog magazine, like a pet magazine, and there's people who have workouts printed in there.
Well, I don't know about workouts, but there's definitely dog magazines. Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, it could be interesting.
Yeah, like what I offer is probably, I don't know if anybody else I've ever heard of
Yeah.
kind of does, but there are canine fitness trainers out there, obviously, that do just programs for dogs. Whereas this is
Together.
Yeah.
There, I'm sure. Let me Google this while we're talking. National Dog Lover Day. Let's see. Okay, so National Dog Lovers Month is August. And National Dog Lovers Day, International Dog Day or National Dog Day is August 26th. How many magazines and things could you pitch? How many magazines and stuff could you pitch?
I don't know.
August 26th for National Dog Day to publish a dog workout, a dog human workout. Yeah. What do you call them?
Yeah, I don't really have a name necessarily, but yeah. But yeah, like I had not thought of that. And I imagine there's a million magazines out there that
probably tons. I mean, like there's tons. National Walking the Dog Day is February 23rd. International Dog Biscuit Appreciation Day is February 28th. None of these holidays mean anything, by the way, but they're all just great opportunities to make a pitch or even create your own content or collaborate with somebody else. You know, some big dog trainer person who has a big page, let's say. Could you go to them and you'd be like, hey, what's the guy? He's like Caesar, the dog trainer dude. What's that dude? I mean, I don't know. You know more than I do. I don't know any of the influencers in the space, but I'm sure that there's many of them. Or there's like, I know that there's famous dogs all over the place. Well, are there any that are reasonably close to you? And could you call them up and say, hey, you know, it's whatever day it is, April. This day is coming up. Let's do a dog workout to go live collaborating on this day, for example.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it as a very unique appeal to show that you have something in common with these people, and also just to give you a little bit of direction. Like I think that's what is missing often from this conversation about vision and about picking your niches. I actually think that in a lot of cases, a niche is less important than it's often stated in terms of like its ability to get you clients. I think more than anything else, the main part of its importance and why I harp on it so much is it just gives you some direction and some finality of what you should do and permission to go and just go all out and pursue it. Because how would you ever decide otherwise? There are so many things that could work, and it's all going to come down to aggressive, ongoing execution. And the more focused you are in that, the better. And so, to me, this market of the dog training is less about people wanting to work out with their dog, more about just, hey, this is what vision means. And then you can work backwards from there. And just like look up pet holidays. I don't know. There's like a million of them. And they're all made up. Let's see in February, or let's see in April. April's Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Month. April is National Pet First Aid Awareness Month. April is Active Dog Month.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
April 1st to 7th is International Poo-Poo Scooper Week. I mean, like, it's just April 10th is National Hug Your Dog Day. Do a workout around that.
Yeah.
Or talk about how important it is to do chest flies in the gym so that you can become a better hugger, so that you can hug your dog better for April 10th.
I love that.
April 21st is National Bulldogs Are Beautiful Day. Do a workout with a bulldog. Like, you could do, like, I can send you this thing, man. There's a lot of them. But you see what I'm getting at, I hope. That
Totally.
once
Yeah.
you have this vision, your entire market could be like every single month there's all of these days. Your entire market could be just building something for every month around these days. Like every piece of content could be around this. Could be like kind of become a joke. I don't know.
Yeah, no, but there's some like really, really great ideas. For
April
sure.
29th, National Hairball Awareness Day.
I don't know if dogs get hairballs so much, but but some might, I guess.
May 14th is International Chihuahua Appreciation Day.
Yeah, even the animal cruelty thing, I was like, I could approach a rescue and do a workout with a rescue dog.
Oh God, that'd be amazing.
Yeah.
The Chihuahua Day, you could just write off a trip to Mexico. Take a business trip to Mexico, write off the whole damn thing. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. I dig it. I think this would be fun. I'm looking forward to this. I hope you do this.
Yeah. Like go to Mexico, I'm totally game for that.
Yeah, there's a lot of Chihuahuas there, I'll tell you that much.
I'm actually
every dog is a Chihuahua breed.
I'm going May 18th. So is that close enough that I could write it off?
There are what was I can't remember what he actually called it, but there's a whole, like, in personal finance kind of language, there's a whole bunch of like different words for different types. It's like, yeah, there's legitimate expenses, right, that are business. There's illegitimate expenses. And then there's kind of a, you're bullshitting, but you're probably not going to get caught expenses. It's like, this kind of probably falls into that. And I think you'll be fine. Cool. Thank you, Anna.
Thank you.
This is fun. And let me know how it goes.
Amber here. Thanks for listening in. This episode was from a group call from Jonathan's online trainer mentorship, where we host hot seats every 2 weeks. The mentorship is where we take anyone doing from $1,000 to $20,000 a month or more and help them scale up. If that sounds like something you'd be interested in learning more about, please DM the word mentor to Jonathan on Instagram @itscoachgoodman. If you're looking for another episode to listen to right now, I'd recommend episode 245, Fix Your Niche, Content, and Bottleneck. It's frustrating when you work your butt off, but the return on effort just isn't there. When that happens, it may be time to look at where the kinks are in your business so you can fix them. In this episode, you'll learn how to define your niche without focusing on demographics only, the easy content tweak to dramatically improve engagement and lead generation, and what potential clients want to hear versus what you want to share. Again, that's episode 245, Fix Your Niche, Content, and Bottleneck. Thanks again for listening, and we'll catch you next week.